Hi, welcome back to the Bold and Blissful Woman, where we help you connect with your feminine essence to create the extraordinary life and love you desire. Today we have Mary Knebel. She is a money intuitive and a certified money breakthrough coach. I'm really excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm glad to have you. Can you share a little bit with the audience? What is it that you're currently doing? Your work in general? Like, what are you inspired to share with us?
Sure. So one thing that I've really been kind of stepping into lately, and I think I'll be expanding into in the new year, is this idea of like magnetizing money to you,
Mm,
which I can talk more about. I'm sure it will come up today, but money is really just energy. And so when we change our thoughts and our own energy around money, we can attract it to us. And this is something I'm good at now. I've learned how to do it, kind of how to magnetize money to me. And so I help my clients with that. And so I think I'm going to be expanding a lot more into that in the new year.
hmm. I love that. So, when we talk about this whole concept about money is energy and magnetizing, how does that relate to our feminine essence or feminine energy? How does it help us as women to really call in
Yeah.
it?
So the good news is, as women, when we are in our feminine energy, we're actually very magnetic and attractive naturally. Now, a lot of us have kind of shut down over the years. We've shut down our sexuality. We don't want to attract too much attention. But think of a woman who we've all seen these women who think of a really confident woman who walks into like a conference room or just a room, and every man or every person in the room turns to look at her. And she's not even necessarily the most beautiful woman, but she's just got that power, that confidence, that just that thing about her. And so all of us women, we have that naturally within us. A lot of us are, like I said earlier, we're shut down to it or we haven't tapped into it. But as women, we all have that power within us to just be that confident, magnetic, powerful woman. And when we're in that energy, that's when we start to attract, money, clients, opportunities, men, so that's that really magnetic energy. And all of us women have that, and we can just learn to tap into it, with a little practice.
Can you talk a little bit about that practice? How does that look like? How does a woman that's been disconnected start to tap into her magnetic essence?
Energy, yeah. So think about it this way. Let me think here. Well, yeah. So think about that woman who, like I said, we've all seen that woman, and she's not necessarily the most beautiful woman. We're all like, oh my God, what does she have that I don't have? But she naturally attracts men and clients to her business, and she's just got that confident energy about her. But then think about, a lot of us women, sometimes we're like shut down, we're insecure, we're worried, we're fearful. And if you literally think about it like, so if money is energy and your body is kind of like shut down, closed off, fearful, scared, literally the money, the energy can't get in. So if your body, I like to let people think of the visual. Like if your body is kind of hunched over, literally money or energy can't get in. And so you want to just start to, pull your shoulders back and open your heart and just really, this is all about receiving, and being open to receiving. And so this is a much more open, magnetic place to let in money and clients and opportunities than if you're kind of like in that fearful, scared little girl place. And so the powerful woman is like open, available, receptive, receiving, all that kind of stuff.
I think it's also important to mention that, even though that you're open to receive and available, it doesn't mean that you haven't been hurt before, right?
Yes. Yeah. And so this is where boundaries comes into place because a lot of the women that I work with are very sensitive to energy and I am too. And so I mean that's one of the reasons that we kind of shut down over the years is we had all this energy coming towards us and yeah, things have happened to us, we've been hurt. And so initially they're scared to open back up because they don't want to be hurt again or be taken advantage of. And so that's where the concept of boundaries comes in. So it's kind of like you want to be really strong on the inside, so you're still in your power, but on the outside is where you're like open and receptive and soft in that feminine energy. But yeah, definitely this doesn't mean you just open yourself up to be taken advantage of and give your services away and just, yeah, I mean, you still want to have that strong power inside of you and you have your boundaries, but on the outside, you're more feminine and open and allowing.
I love that. I truly love that. And what deeply resonated with me was that you mentioned about having that strong energy inside of you. I know that there's a difference between, strong and calm
Yep.
versus like thinking strong is I'm in attack mode.
Yeah, yes.
How does that
Yes.
reflect like the difference between the two when it comes to manifesting money?
Yeah. It's really funny because I was literally having this conversation with my dad last night, who knows nothing about energy, but he's been having things happen to him in his life. And so I was trying to say, Dad, because and if you think about it as men, men kind of show up like in their power and their masculine energy and they're aggressive. And that's fine, although it's not working for my dad right now. But like women, we still want to be strong and powerful, but we're not in that like, yeah, like you said, the attack mode, the aggressive mode. Like we're still open and receptive and allowing, but yeah, we're still grounded. So think about it like if you're still grounded into the earth, you're still grounded in your own energy and you're confident, but yeah, you're open. And so you're not on the defensive or, aggressive. And so, yeah, so if you think about like men, when they're like a powerful man is kind of aggressive, but a powerful woman, she's still in her power. She still has strong boundaries. She's still comfortable, expressing herself and standing up for herself, but she's much softer and more receptive.
I love that. Yes, there's a subtle power that you notice in a woman when she's like really calm. She doesn't
Yeah.
need to be,
Well, and also,
or
let me
she.
say this too, because you reminding me, a lot of women are scared to be in their power because they think that it's going to be, they're going to be like a bitch,
Mhm.
right? So we've also seen those women who kind of overcompensate too much, and so they're like, yeah, they're strong and they're powerful, but they're kind of bitchy. And so that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, like you're saying, yeah, just that like silent, strong confidence, which is more about respect. Because I think I tell my clients it's better to be respected than to be liked necessarily. Because sometimes when we're like we want to be liked by everyone, we go into that good little girl place, and that is where people will start to take advantage of you and walk all over you, and you want everyone to like you, so you kind of just give them what they want. But when you're in that like strong, powerful, but kind of soft place as a woman, people will respect you, and so they don't think you're a bitch, but they respect you.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. I wholeheartedly agree. I noticed that you were talking a little bit about keeping your heart open.
Yes.
You know that I love talking about this. I'm all
Yes.
about love and opening up your heart to more love. Can you talk about a little bit about keeping your heart open and what does that have to do with magnetizing more money?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started noticing this with myself and with my clients. A lot of them, like I said earlier, they were shut down.
Okay.
And this is because they're sensitive and things have happened to them. But if money is just energy and your heart is kind of shut down, the energy literally can't come in.
Mm.
And if you think about it in our businesses, money most of the time comes from clients, from other people. And so if your heart is shut down to other people, they're not going to feel that connection and they're not going to feel that, that love and that openness. And so, even if they can't put their finger on why, they're not going to want to work with you because they just feel like, yeah, like there's not this connection here, especially with women, because we're so based on like connection and feelings. And so, one thing that's been coming up a lot with my clients lately is, yeah, really opening their heart to receive. And so, I'll give you a quick little exercise
I
here
love
that
that.
you can do. So, literally, like visualize that in your heart is like a rose or a flower, like a lotus flower. And so if you think about it right now, the rose would be like a tight little bud and it's kind of like clenched up like your fist. But you want to open that rose or that lotus flower and just imagine that the petals are opening up and expanding. And so and pull your shoulders back so you're in that like receptive place.
Hmm.
And then imagine that from the sky coming down is like this golden beam of light from, God or source or the universe. And this is like pure divine love and light and abundance flowing down into that open heart, open flower, and you just let it fill you up. I mean, it feels good just thinking about it, but you let it fill you up from head to toe, coming in through the flower until your whole body is filling up with like light and love and energy and abundance. And I've even had some clients visualize like dollar bills going down into their heart if they're really having trouble staying open. And so you just want to get comfortable with staying open and receiving money and abundance and love. And I just tell people, just practice this, even if you're laying in bed at night, practice this exercise, and just get really comfortable, like staying open to receiving.
I love that. And so you keep mentioning that money is energy.
Yes.
And I remember back then when I first heard this concept, how troubled I was by it. I was like, what does that mean? Right?
Yes.
Is the energy of money any different from the energy of, anything else in life? Because I feel like sometimes there's this belief that it's harder or more difficult to get.
Yes. So yeah, so that's a very typical belief, is like money is, yeah, that's like elusive and it's hard to get and we have to struggle and we have to work hard. But really, if you think about it, everything, and I struggled with this at first too. I didn't really get it, but if you think about it, everything is energy, and we've all heard that. So everything on our planet is energy, and it just takes different forms. And so I like to think of money as like the same thing as air or water. Like it's all around, it's just energy. Air is energy, water is energy, love is energy. And so it's all around us, and it's endless and never ending and always flowing. And so think about like air or water. You probably have no charge around that at all, right? I mean, there's air everywhere, and water. Like we have no problem getting water or air. And so if you can think of money the same way, sorry, that's my dog barking. If you can think of money the same way, that it's available to us as air or water, then that takes all that negative charge off of money, and you can let it in just as easily as air or water.
I feel like at least what I've had happen before, or for when I first heard this concept, it was a little bit harder than that. I would hear this whole thing like it's water and all that, but it was so hard due to the relationship that I already had with it.
Yes.
So let's say you are in scarcity mode. You don't have a lot of money coming in at you, and you are offering a service or you're at work. I know that when you're in a scarcity place, you feel a lot of like anxious energy.
Yeah.
How can a woman that's feeling around, anxious energy around money start to call in
Yeah.
more money?
Okay, cool. I have a perfect exercise for this. I'm
Awesome.
all about exercises.
It's kind of like you read my mind because I was going to ask you a lot of questions
For an
around
exercise?
exercises.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, well, I just think for me, it's helpful to actually see it, right? So, actually, I have a couple we can do here. So, one is I always say, if say you're on a sales call, right? And the money, we always get to the money piece and we're like, oh my God. So, first thing you can do is literally you want to pull your shoulders back. Like, because let's say you're my potential client and I'm all like hunched over and hanging on every word and oh my God, is she going to sign up? And I need to pay my rent and I need to buy food. The energy is just, the other person can feel it even if they don't know why. Is that your dog now?
Because
So
it's raining, so she's calling out.
okay. So even if they can't, like, even if they don't know why, they're going to feel the energy is wrong. So first thing I say is if you're on a sales call, it's literally just like pull your shoulders back, open your heart, and that alone is going to make a huge difference. But I want you to, here's the exercise. Imagine, hold out like your hand, if you can see my hand here, and imagine that like a butterfly has just landed in your hand, okay? And so you're looking at the butterfly and you're like, it's so pretty, it's blue, it's purple, whatever it is, and you're just admiring the butterfly. But notice what happens if you like try to hold on to the butterfly. So the butterfly is going to fly away, right?
Yeah.
Or you're going to kill it,
It
or
felt
something.
it felt heavy, and I didn't like how it felt.
Exactly. And so what happens, and really what would probably happen is the butterfly would fly away, right? If we tried to hold on to it. So it's the same thing with money. You want to just have this open, light, appreciative energy where the butterfly or the money can just easily come into your hand. It sits there. And so again, if you are shopping or on a sales call, I tell people just put out your hand and imagine that the butterfly is flying into it, and you just want to have that open, expansive energy, and that's how you want to be around money. And then here's another tip too. Think of, because we've all been there, think of like if you're a woman and you're out at a bar and there's a guy who's like all over you. He's into you. He wants to buy you a drink. He asks for your number. And, if you're not into him, you're kind of like, nah, right? Like we've all experienced that needy, clingy energy. Again, that's the same thing with money. Like if we are like that with money, like we have to have it and we're desperate for it and we're just, scared that it's going to run out. Just like we pull back from that guy in the bar, money's going to do the same thing. Like it's not attracted to that.
I just had like really powerful aha moment of something that personally, when you know that you're so close to something that you can't see it clearly, like relating to my personal life, because I've always known this, but I was like, oh, so that's what it was, right?
Well, yeah.
But what I wanted to say is that just to make it a little bit clear for the audience, or or just providing a really beautiful example of how money's just energy. Think about it if you were on a date, and if you had that energy with a guy that you like, and you're like, do you like me? Do you like me? Do you like me? Like, that's right. The energy that puts, it puts you off completely.
Totally. And I always tell people, like the first thing I always have people do is and we can do this right now. This is another exercise. So think about, so this is how you figure out what your relationship with money is. Think about money as if it were a man or a person. And I want you to just think about what that relationship looks like. And so most of the women I work with, when I say, okay, tell me about your relationship with this man, they're like, oh my God, I'm always scared that he's going to leave, or I'm scared that he's like, I don't know, cheating on me, or like never going to come home at night. And I'm always telling him he's not enough. And why aren't you there for me? Why aren't you buying me presents? And so when you think of it that way, just like a man would be like not want to stick around or not want to stay in that relationship, money is the same thing. And so, yeah, like when we're on that date, that's the easiest way to think about it, because we all know how men react if we're like needy and clingy and desperate and why hasn't he called and blah, blah. We've all been there. And the minute you forget about that man and you're like, you know what, I'm going to take myself out on a date by myself. Like I'm going to take myself out with the girls or for a fun night by myself. That's when the man calls or texts or whatever. And so it's that same energy of open and just not like desperate or, but you're also trusting, okay, it will come. Exactly. It will show up.
So I think that trusting is a huge part of keeping your heart open to receive more. Can we talk about that process of trust?
Absolutely. And trust is so huge when we start these businesses, because really, I always tell people, I never know where my money is coming from or my next client, but I know that it is going to come, right? And so that's the key shift is like, so money ultimately comes from God, from source. And so I know every month now, and I was not always like this. Trust me, there was a lot of fear in the beginning, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, but I now know money comes from God, money comes from source. I know that I'm always provided for. So I know that money is going to come. Now, I don't always know where or like who's going to sign up to work with me or anything like that, but I know that it's coming. And so that energy is just that trusting faith, having faith energy. But when we are in like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my bills. I don't know where my next client's coming from. I don't, blah, blah. That is the energy that pushes money away and clients. But if you're just, again, like leaning back, you're trusting, that all your needs are going to be met, that's when the money shows up and clients sign up because they're, it's just a more comfortable, relaxed energy.
I love that. And a thing that came up for me was, let's talk about inspired work versus, trying to do everything or get something.
I'm all about inspired action, yes.
Because I feel like when we talk about, money coming in, all this law of attraction stuff, people feel like, well, should I just meditate all day? Right? So how does that, how does that inspired energy or inspired work look like versus, not being from that place of not believing, but just trying to make it happen?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so there's a difference. And even you can and here's the thing too, is like two people can be taking the same exact action steps, but if the energy behind it is different, one person's going to have better results. So in my business, I'm all about inspired action. And now it does not mean I'm just sitting around on the couch all day meditating. Although some days, some days, if, like I take naps and stuff, it's some days, if that's what I'm feeling, that's what I'm feeling. But yeah, like if I get an inspiration to write a blog post or post something on Facebook or write a free report, I'll do that. I mean, for me, that's divine inspiration. And as soon as I get the download, I'm very intuitive. So as soon as I get the download, I think, okay, this is speaking to me for some reason. I need to do it. But I'm not like on Facebook all day, every day. I mean, like I said earlier, I'm very sensitive to energy. So I cannot be online all day or going to networking meetings. For me, that doesn't work. That puts out like a bad energy that's like chasing and trying to grab clients. And for me, that doesn't work. For me, what works is like staying open to my creativity, to my intuition. And as soon as I get like a download that really lights me up and feels good, I'll do that. So for example, lately for my business, I've been doing a lot of free challenges. I just finished like a 10-day gratitude challenge leading up to Thanksgiving here in the States. And a lot of people are like, well, how is this helping? This is a free challenge. But what it does is it puts me in a higher vibration. It attracts new people to my business. And, some of them have already converted into clients. And so, yeah, technically, I was just giving away like free content every day. But, it helped me get in a higher vibration. It helped all these people in the challenge get in a higher vibration. It ended up attracting new clients to me, more money, all that kind of stuff. So just compare that to like every day, all day, trying to find clients online, chasing down clients, trying to get people to sign up with me. Like it's just a completely different energy.
I know, I love that. And okay, so what do you do when you're okay? You got a download, an inspired action.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna start to execute it, but you start feeling fear and you feel the need to close.
Yeah. How
do you manage that transition?
Open back up.
Yeah.
So one thing that I have learned with myself is that, and when we're an entrepreneur and we have these businesses, fear comes up a lot. I mean, it never goes away. But what I've learned to do is I've learned to work with my fear rather than push it away. So most people, when we feel fear, the first thing we want to do is like make it go away. We want to push it away, act like it doesn't exist. Yeah. We shut down. We go to sleep, like we procrastinate, we just anything to get away from the fear. But if you can just like literally tune into your body, like find out where the fear is in your body. So a lot of times it's in like your solar plexus or your heart or wherever it is. You tune into the fear, and if you send it love, and you just like you would with like a little 5-year-old girl, you're like, I'm here for you, I see you, I love you, I accept you. If you can just give that part of you love and acceptance and support, rather than like, oh my God, get away. Like, I wish you weren't there. It will just like, that alone will help you open up. Because really, these are just little girl places in us that are scared and need attention and love and acceptance and acknowledgement. And as soon as you kind of like see them and say, I'm here for you, I love you, I've got you, all of a sudden it's like you can open up and relax again and keep moving forward.
I know that this is more like a general question, but have you, like, if we talk numbers, what is the average time or period that you have seen a person go through that, fearful emotion? Like, if they allow themselves to really feel that? Because I feel like the fear is that if I allow myself to feel this negative thing, I'm going to stay there forever. I don't want to look at it.
Right. Yeah. And so that's what exactly. So we tell ourselves, if I let myself feel this fear or this sadness or this anger or whatever it is, I'm going to get stuck in that and I'm never going to get out. And the truth is, if you just allow yourself to have that feeling and just love it and accept it, it can go away in like 20 seconds, right? Like fast. But the problem is we've never been taught this. Like we've all been taught, like, if a feeling comes up and it's bad, it feels bad, like don't feel it, don't acknowledge it, run away from it. All it wants is like a little light and love and acceptance. And so, yeah, like 20 seconds, a minute. I mean, sometimes I would say the longest is maybe like 20 minutes at the very extreme, but think about 20 minutes versus like staying stuck in fear for like months at a time, which is what most of us do.
And this is such a healthy advice. This is a theme that I've been talking with all of the experts about feeling your emotions all the way through, because that
Yes,
feeling of being stuck is the feeling of not allowing yourself to process things
yeah,
completely, right?
yeah,
Because at the end of that cycle or that process, there's always greater good or greater love. A thing that comes up for me is I know that women are truly, truly powerful. And what I see happens is that they don't allow themselves to achieve a greater level of financial success due
yep,
to hidden beliefs that they have
yep,
about, what could happen if they had more money.
yes. Huge.
Yes.
Yes.
So can you talk about a little, like, where are the, like, two of the most common beliefs that you've seen and two of the most uncommon,
Yeah,
reasons why a woman may stop herself from going for
totally.
more?
So, I mean, you kind of already hit the nail on your head. It's that fear of power because how can I say this? I read a quote somewhere once that was like so perfect. And it was like, women aren't scared of money, they're scared of power. And so in our minds, money equals power because that's how it always has been. But if you think about it, it hasn't been until recently that women were allowed to be in their power. I mean, for most of eternity, women have been forced to play very small and not have voices and not stand up for themselves and not be seen and not attract attention and stay at home and take care of the kids. And so now we are starting to embrace our power, but a lot of us, especially spiritual women or sensitive women, we also have these voices in our head that are like, no, 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 like it's bad to be seen, it's bad to be powerful, it's bad to um, take up space in the world. But all of that is linked to money because money equals power. I mean, for better or worse, it does equal power. And so it's not actually or in our mind, in our collective consciousness, that money is linked to power. And so it's not actually the money that we're scared of. It's like it's who we'll become. So I always say money magnifies you. And so if you are a woman and you start earning a lot of money, you're probably going to start buying nicer clothes. You're going to buy a nicer car, have a nicer home. And so you're going to start showing up differently in the world because money just magnifies who you already are. And so if all of a sudden you have nicer clothes and a nicer car, a nicer house, other people are going to react differently to you. And actually that's what a lot of the fear is about. Women are so relationship oriented that we like to keep the peace. We don't want to cause conflict. And so if all of a sudden you are driving this really nice car and you have this money, you're going to nicer places, you're traveling, the fear is like, well, what are people going to think of me? And are my family members going to leave me? Are my friends, not going to like me anymore? And these are legitimate fears that we all have to face. Like, am I going to be left behind? Am I going to be, kind of like shunned by my friends because now I have more money?
See, I think that, at the other side of all of this,
Hmm.
the money will always come true. We are just ones that, create the timeline or the difficulty
Yeah.
in
Oh,
which
totally.
it will come in.
Yeah.
So, as I was hearing you talk, it occurred to me, I know that a lot of women think that it's really difficult for them to manifest more money. And what they do is that, they barely manifest it. They manifest a little bit less than what they needed,
Yes. Just getting by.
just
Yes.
getting by, or, manifesting it, at the last minute.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about that and, how can a woman shift that, situation around?
Totally. So yeah, it's really common, this whole just getting by phenomenon. And I did that for a while in my business in the beginning. Like I was just so happy to be making any money at all that I, just made enough. Like, yeah, and it's always comes in at the last minute and barely just pays our bills. But again, it goes back to that thing of like, so when you're just getting by, a woman who's just getting by, she's kind of like, she's still playing small. She's still kind of hiding. Her energy is still kind of contracted. If you all of a sudden start making more than enough money, that's when you're just going to start to show up bigger in the world. And so, and the way that you can make that switch is think about it this way. If your primary view of yourself is like, I'm not enough, which most people start out with that. We think we're not good enough. Almost everyone on the planet thinks they're not good enough, right? And so if your primary view of yourself is like, I'm not enough, that's going to be your primary view of everything in the world. Like, there's not enough money, there's not enough time, there's not enough love in my relationships, whatever. Mm-hmm. So if you shift that to starting to see yourself as more than enough, then that's going to change the way you see everything else in the world too. So all of a sudden you're going to start to see that you have more than enough money and more than enough time and more than enough love, more than enough resources. So it's really shifting from lack, because think about to abundance basically. But think about those people who are really, really wealthy and they still think they don't have enough. Mm-hmm. So it's not even about the money. It's about the thoughts that are telling them like, you're not enough. You need more to be successful. You don't have enough money. And so you have to go from thinking not enough to more than enough. So you have to go from thinking about lack to abundance.
Yeah, that resonates completely. So when you have this belief that you're not enough, and in terms of your relationship with money or in general, what are some exercises that a woman, when you think that, you have actions that reflect that, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That keep reinforcing the belief
yes.
and keep you in that level. Totally. So are there some exercises that a woman can become more aware and shift that around, like in terms of actions that she can do?
Totally. Yeah, the first thing I tell people to do is literally look around your house or your apartment or whatever right now and list things that you already have more than enough of. Because even if you have like no money in your bank account and you're like, I have no idea how I'm going to pay my bills this month, most of us have like more than enough books or more than enough home study programs like that we've taken, or more than enough clothes, whatever it is. Almost every single one of us has more than enough of things. And so the first thing is just start to get really aware of what you already have more than enough of. And then you want to be, I know we've all heard this over and over, but it really works. You have to be grateful for what you already have. Mm-hmm. Even if it's like you have, I don't know, $10 in your bank account, that's $10 that you have in your bank account. That's, more than a lot of people have. And so you really have to get into that place of gratitude, because gratitude will automatically take you from not enough to more than enough. Like that's the fastest way to go from like, oh my God, my life sucks, I don't have enough money, to like, wow, I have food, I have heat, I have a place to live, I have clients, whatever it is. Gratitude will automatically take you from not enough to more than enough instantly.
I love that. I believe in gratitude so much. I think it's the key to everything. From what I've seen as well is that when you're in scarcity, it's hard for a person to just come back and feel that gratitude in the moment. Yes. It's not just like, okay, yeah, I'm grateful. It's more like feeling it in your body in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are there any specific gratitude exercises that you recommend? I know that I think I once heard from Brené Brown that, wholehearted people have tangible gratitude exercises, right? It's not just in the mind. They write it down or...
Well, let me tell you one that I really recommend to all my clients. And I made this up, but it's, you find, I mean, this is not like new, but one day it came to me and I was like, oh, so I call it my GIA practice. So GIA, which stands for Gratitude in Advance. And I got this because I was reading the book, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, which
a lot of us, book.
Yes. And he talks about like Jesus was in a constant state of gratitude, but even being grateful for things before they've even shown up. And so what I started doing was every day, I write down 10, and it's very helpful if you write this stuff down and not just do it in your head. But I write down 10 things that I'm currently grateful for. So this is like what most of us think of as gratitude. Like I'm grateful for, I don't know, my heat, the food, my dog, whatever. But then you write down 20 things that you're grateful for in advance. And so this is stuff that has not shown up yet in your life. You may not have any idea how it's going to show up, but you intend that it's going to show up and you're grateful for it now. And what this does is it starts to flow that energy towards it. and it starts to bring these things to you. And so let me tell you a really funny story. I was started doing this exercise, and I wrote down, well, first of all, let me say this. You want to write down 20 a day. And most women are like, oh my God, that's way too many. But what it does is it helps you open up to your desires. And a lot of us have shut that down, many, many years ago, because we didn't know how this stuff was going to come to us. And so we stopped giving ourselves permission to have these desires. So I say, really try to do 20 things a day. It can be really little stuff too, like a latte from Starbucks. I mean, it can be small stuff, but you just want to get into that habit of dreaming and allowing yourself permission to think about these things. But anyway, I started doing this exercise, and I wrote down one day this like relationship home study course that I wanted. And you just write this stuff down and you flow gratitude. You don't have to think about how, you don't have to do anything other than write it down and flow gratitude. And a few weeks later, I was cleaning out my closet, which I like never do, by the way, like very rare. And literally in my closet, I found this same relationship program that I had written down on my list. And so it's not magic. It's not like it magically appeared, but I had purchased this program a few years ago, completely forgot about it. Still had, like I thought I had left it when I moved. I mean, I've moved several times since then. I thought it was like long gone. And so I found the program in my closet, which when I was cleaning, which I never cleaned my closet, but I was inspired to clean the closet, found the program. Inspired, exactly. And then 2 weeks later, I found another program by the same woman in like a different part of my closet, which I was inspired to clean. So then I had 2 programs by this woman worth, several $100s that I purchased years ago, and voila. So it's not magic. I mean, it's definitely not magic, but it gets you in that space of you give yourself permission to start to receive these things and to think about, oh, these things really could come to me. And sometimes you're inspired to go to the mall and buy the things you write down. I mean, sometimes you have to go out and get them. But the more that you start to write these things down and be grateful for them in advance, they'll start showing up in your life.
Yeah. Yes. What I would do is kind of like your own gratitude practice, but I would mix it.
Yeah.
Totally mix in the sense like you don't know what's real and what isn't yet. But for me, it was like it's all the same. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, like, for when we write down these 20 things that we're grateful for, are they all new every day, or is it like if you have a?
Well, I say try to go for new things, but I've repeated some things. But the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to, like, let's say you keep writing the same stuff down every day. You don't want to get in the energy where like, oh my God, this is never going to come true. So as long as so I have repeated some things, but it's not like every day. And it's not like thinking, oh my God, this is never going to happen, so I just need to keep writing it down every single day. But I do say try to go for 20 new things a day. And again, this doesn't have to be huge stuff. It can be like a latte from Starbucks or, I don't know, like, so it doesn't all have to be like, huge vacations to Europe or whatever. It can be small things too. But what it does is it just gets you open. It gets your mind thinking. And then you start to get excited like, oh, I can have these things. And, they're going to start to show up. And it also starts pulling more money in, because here's a money tip, money loves a purpose. So the more you can get crystal clear about what your money is going to go towards when it comes in, the more money will flow to you because it has a purpose. And so when you start writing these things down every day, the energy of money is like, oh, she's going to buy new towels and new yoga clothes and new candles. And so let's flow to her so that she can get these things.
And how do you recommend for us to have fun in the process of manifesting more money?
Yes, so fun is very key. So one thing that I tell people to do is literally like put on some music that you love. So I love 80s music. And so I will turn on 80s music and do like my Gia practice like I just described, or just think about money flowing towards you, or these desires that you want coming in your life. Like you want to start to think about money in that place of like fun and light, rather than like, shit, I have bills that I have to pay. Like, you want to be really careful that when you think about money, you're thinking about it in like a happy, grateful, excited place, and not like fear and, oh my God, it's never going to show up, and worry and doubt, which is where most people start. And so, yeah, the easiest way is I say turn on some music that you love, dance, think about money flowing to you, think about the things you're going to buy, and just like get into that really excited space.
A question came up for me,
Sure.
and it's about, I know that sometimes we have, at least I had, an issue around, how do I say this? It will be easier for me to invest my money or give gifts to other people of a high value, but for me personally, it was very, very difficult to give that to myself.
Yes.
Investing in myself fully.
Huge. Yeah.
Do you have anything to say for a woman, that's in that process that feels guilty around investing in herself?
Yeah. So first of all, it's very common for women, so just know that. But I always tell people the universe can only be as good to you as you are to yourself. And so that means if you never spend money on yourself, all your money goes to bills or, even like coaches, whatever, which investing in coaching is great. But if you're never spending any money on yourself, the universe kind of sees that as like, well, she doesn't want to spend any money on herself. So one of the first things that I have my clients do is like book a facial. I don't care how much money you have. If you've got 20 bucks, book a facial or like buy a candle or get some bubble bath or something. Because as women, we've got to start taking care of ourselves more. We take care of everyone else, especially if you're like a healer or a coach. Again, you're taking care of everyone else. But we need to start, taking care of ourselves. And it's like on the airplane, you have to put your oxygen mask on first before everyone else. And so the more that you start to take care of yourself and spend money on yourself, prioritize yourself, the universe is going to be like, oh, she wants money to take care of herself, to spend on herself. And so you just want to get in that practice. It can be, like I said, really small things like $10 to buy like a bottle of wine or a bubble bath or a candle, whatever it is. But you want to start to make yourself a priority. And so the universe will pick up on that message like, oh, she's a priority. She needs more money.
I love that. Because that's the highest truth. That
Totally.
is the highest truth.
Yeah. And most women are so not in the practice of doing that. At least I certainly was not. Like I had, think about it. Think about clothes too. Like I was never a big clothes person. I know a lot of women are, but I had t-shirts from like 10 years ago just because I just, never threw them away and I slept in them. And it's like, no, you deserve to have new clothes and new t-shirts. And yeah, maybe like one or two that are really comfortable that you love. But think about even like lingerie. A lot of women have had the same stuff for years. And, you want to start to think about upgrading some of that stuff. And again, it can be like one thing here or there. It doesn't have to be go blow all your money. But you just want to start to prioritize yourself a little bit more and start to take care of yourself because that energy alone is going to shift everything.
Yes, it's true. It's always about loving yourself more in any given situation and learning to put yourself first in a loving way.
Always, yeah. And the more that you start to see yourself as worth it, that's going to shift how the universe sees you, how your clients see you. Because if you think you're really worth it, everyone else around you will too. Clients will want to pay you more money. It's all good.
Can I ask you something personal?
Sure.
Did you go through that?
I don't know. It depends.
Did you go through that process?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Totally. Yeah. No, I'll tell you this. The reason that I became a money coach was not because I was really good with money at all. The reason I became a money coach was because I was I was working in corporate America, knew that I was not supposed to be working. I knew I was supposed to be a coach, but I was so trapped in my own money fears that I couldn't leave. I couldn't leave my job. And so I found this really high-end money coach certification course, but I didn't take it to become a money coach. I took it to heal my money stuff. I was like, I'm going to take this course. I'm going to heal my money stuff. Then I can leave corporate America. Then I can become a coach. It never occurred to me to do anything around money. But then, we teach what we need to learn. And so as I started really healing this stuff and kind of connecting the dots, I saw, oh my God, this is actually what I'm really supposed to be doing, is helping women heal their money stuff. But yeah, I mean, I used to never spend money on myself. Um, I actually had the opposite problem of a lot of women. Like, I didn't have any debt at all, but I would have like $20,000 just sitting in the bank because I was so terrified of spending money or spending money on myself. And so, I mean, $20,000 sitting in the bank, if it's not doing anything, and if you're not going to allow yourself to spend it, that doesn't serve anyone either. So I was living in total fear of money. So that's how, so yeah, so I had to go through all this myself because I was in a very dysfunctional relationship with money. And I will say this, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so the way that women relate to money is usually very similar to how they relate to men or, you know, in their romantic relationships. And so, and also how you relate to your body. So as you heal your relationship with money, you're going to heal your romantic relationships as well. And I've seen that in my own life too.
I love that. What was your biggest breakthrough, or what allowed you to do that shift, right?
Mhm. I think for me, the biggest thing, and it actually came from investing in a coach because I had lived in so much fear around money, like not being there, running out, even though I had all this money in the bank. I mean, that just shows you that it's never really about the money because I had all this money in the bank and I was terrified. But I remember the very first like high-end coach that I worked with. She said, it sounds like you're in a lot of fear. And I was like, wow, you're right. And so I invested in her program, and like immediately all the money came back. And it wasn't even from like selling packages or anything like that. You know, a lot of people think, well, yeah, you have to turn around and sell coaching packages to make the money back. Well, no, the money showed up a completely different way. But it was right after I invested in her. And that was when I started to get like, oh, like money is going to show up for me and the universe is going to provide for me. And it was still a long journey. I mean, it definitely wasn't overnight, but it was starting to learn to trust that like, oh, money will be there for me. It's not going to run out. My needs are going to be met, and maybe in ways that I never could have expected in a million years. But learning to trust like God, the universe, money, learning to trust that all of that will be there for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Huge.
Um, I had a really powerful connection as I would hear as I was hearing you talk, and I really do think that it is about facing your fears, right?
Well, yeah, always, yes.
Everything, I think that people think that when they face their fears, they will meet more fear, but at the end of it, it's there's always more love for
Yes,
yourself and for your life.
yes.
So I do that. I do think that everything that you have shared with us so far has been really, really important. If there is one last tip that you can give to women out there who are done having a scarce relationship with money, what could that be?
I would say I'm give you two tips. One is just because I was thinking about it as you were just talking about the whole fear thing. I always say choose faith over fear. Because if you think about it, both faith and fear are using your mind to think about something that may or may not come true. I mean, both faith and fear are like thinking about the future and either having a positive interpretation or a negative interpretation. So if you're going to think about something that may or may not happen, you might as well choose faith, assuming that it's going to work out for the best. Um, so that's number one. But in terms of actual money, you have to find a way to start, like again, like you were saying, you have to find a way to go from fear to love. And so even if it's like, I'll tell you a really silly thing I did in the beginning. I literally printed out a picture of money, um, like printed it out on a piece of paper and I stuck it up on my wall. And I would like flow love to that money on the wall every day. And I mean, it took a while, but you have to train yourself to go from like fearing money and living in fear around money to loving money. Because again, money is just energy. And when we flow love to anything, but when you flow it to money, it's going to completely shift your energy, but it's also going to start to magnetize money towards you. So I would say anything you can do to start loving money more rather than being in fear around it, that will help a lot. Just that.
I resonate with that so much. And I have one last question. And
Yes.
it's about, what can you say to women out there that are thinking, well, it's easy for you to say, or that I'm different? It's different for me.
I would say no. No, I mean, I had to go through a ton of fear. And I know that all of the women watching this, I mean, we've all felt 2015. It has been an intense year of growth and facing your fears and expanding. I know that so many women out there have been right. We have felt it this year, and I have felt it. I mean, I have really felt it, and it's a ton of facing your fears. I lived in so much fear around money. And like I said, that's why I was drawn to this work, not because I was good at it to begin with, but because this was how I faced my fears around money, was just really diving into this work. So I would say I am no different from you. It just, like you said, it's all about facing your fears, and that's the journey. And if you're willing to do that and keep moving forward, everything will eventually open up for you.
Move forward, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it.
Every
Face your
day. Every
feet
day.
and move
Yes.
forward, no
Yeah.
matter
Even
what.
when you don't feel like it. Yes.
And knowing that it's happening for you.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. Everything, no matter what you think, no matter if you can see the bigger picture or not, the universe is always conspiring for your highest good.
I love that. So I know that you have a gift for our audience. I know that this, interview was super packed with amazing practices and
Yes.
tidbits of wisdom. So I know that you have a beautiful free gift for them. So if you could share it,
Yeah.
that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you have the links, but if they just go to my website, which is moneypreneurs.com, if you just go to the homepage, there is a free report about healing your relationship with money so that it loves being around you. Because remember, money's just energy. So when you shift your energy, money's going to be like stuck to you like glue, and it's just going to radiate in. So yeah, so they can just go to my homepage, which is moneypreneurs.com, and download the free report.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this interview and everything that you shared with us. Um, so thank you once again. I hope that everybody enjoyed this interview, and we will be talking soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.